So today we're doing a little demonstration of the room-to-room function with these particular ceiling hoists. This is a gantry setup. We've got two hoists on the one rail, but it's for illustration purposes only. So this one is in one room, if you like. You have an end stop just here, and this rail to this pod here, and then stop there. So we'd like to imagine this is two rooms, and we've got a doorway coming through here, and we want to hoist from one room to the other. So now I'd like you to imagine we want to transfer the service user from this hoist into the adjacent room on this hoist. So when there's on this hoist here, we're going to bring it as close as we can to the other room is the first thing, okay? And the same with the pod in the adjacent room. So make sure they're as close as possible, like so. We're then going to take the slack lift tape from the other room. So you can imagine this is going to be tight, this is going to be firm there because there's somebody on this one. We're going to connect it to this point here. So by pulling down the latch there, engaging that, and that locks it in position like so. Once we're in this position, we are now ready to transfer from one hoist to the other. Very simply done. Up on one handset, down on the other. The hoist will then, swing bar will then move from one hoist to the other, the diagonal movement as shown. And then once you get to this position, you can stop. This position being this lift tape now slack, you can simply just release that lift tape like that. The weight is then entirely on this hoist, and you can carry on a transfer in the adjacent room. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the same process again, using Adrian in the hoist from one room to the other. First thing to check is that your spare hook is in the direction you are wanting to travel. So we've got Adrian here on the sling, he's on the left-hand side, because we want this one to be available to meet this system when we get to the next room. So we can now raise Adrian. Okay, so we'll just move the check. So once Adrian's had one that, we can then move him to the end of the system, so we hit the doorway. Okay, and then we're going to get this lift tape connected to the spare hook. So it's shown like that. And then we're going to lower this hoist, raise this hoist, just like we discussed earlier, and Adrian will move from one to the other. Now Adrian is entirely on this hoist, so we can use the handsets. We can remove this hook by putting that down like that, and then we can transfer Adrian to whatever transfer we want to do in this room. So the room-to-room system is designed in such a way that it's very easy to get right and you can't get it wrong. So at the moment Adrian is on this system here, so we couldn't physically, whilst we can disengage that, we can't physically take it out. We can only take this one out, which means Adrian's not going to fall. As he transfers from one to the other, this one will become taut, so the weight is then taken on both hoists. You can't remove either. And once he's right over this side, it's the opposite to this, and then we can only release once the lift tape is slack, which means it's not taking any weight. Lastly, it's just going to touch on some of the benefits of the room-to-room system. Firstly, because you have two hoists, one in one room, one in the other, you can use these independently. With when you have one hoist and it travelling through into the other room, you only have one hoist to use. So one hoist could be used in the bedroom, the other hoist could be used in the shared bathroom and at the same time. Secondly, if you have different ceiling heights, a higher ceiling height in the bedroom and a lower one in the bathroom, that doesn't affect the room-to-room transfer, it works in exactly the same way. Thirdly, there's no construction works required to the header of the door, that's the space above the door. When you have a rail going through from one room to the other directly, you have to incorporate that rail in the header of the door. No works required there, so it makes installation very easy. And lastly, if you have a system in one room, you don't have to install the adjacent system at the same time. That can be added in 6-12 months as and when requirements make it needed. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please reach out to us.